Oh man, the truth behind the Goodie Mob breakup, man, that's a tough one, man, because that's a brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? So you looking at CeeLo, Big Grip, Timo, and Cujo, and all of these guys were basically the not so Goodie Mob. They were the muscle behind Outkast. Like they went through a lot of stuff, and all of them together, they were the Dungeon family, mixed all together with Cool Breeze and all the other people that was in the group. And this is like the 94, 95 era in ATL. So back in these days, man, they were, working on their own thing as far as music. And Timo and Cujo, those two always like worked together. Where Big Gip, he had his own style, but he was more of a solo artist, more poised. And CeeLo was mostly the harmony, and he can rap too, but he was more for harmony and singing. He had a voice that was just melodic. So together and working together, they made a perfect blend. And what people didn't expect from the Goodie Mob is that when Outkast blew up and Organized Noise did the production, and they critically acclaimed. So when they came out going with Soul Food, they recorded this in Curtis Mayfield's house. A lot of people didn't know that. They was with Curtis Mayfield. And when they was putting this song together and everything else and doing their work, they was being blessed by, eating food at Curtis Mayfield's house, talking to Curtis Mayfield, He even gave a sweatsuit to Cujo and like, look, you could wear this sweatsuit. It's the one I had, from back in the day. And, they were family doing this whole scene. So they didn't want to disrespect this man's house and what he came from and all the things they talked about as far as gentrification, discrimination, all different type of racial issues that was happening down in the South. And meaning the phrase dirty South, and they basically coined the phrase. Now, there was a situation where Andre 3000 was basically an Outkast, was held for ranks. People was kidnapping him down in Miami. It was, that was real stuff. Goodie Mob and all these dudes, they were there and fighting with the record labels to get him back. And that's when LaFace, who they were signed to, because this is like a big risk for LaFace, once they came out with Outkast, like, man, they really getting involved in hip hop. But when it came down to Goodie Mob, and when Goodie Mob came out, they were thinking, okay, we getting another extension of Outkast. Let's go and sign them before somebody else do. And then they got featuring Outkast in it, and we're just a feature. Now let's get ahead of it. This is our project. This might blow too. They had no idea what Soul Food album was gonna be. The Soul Food album came out, and with Cell Therapy as the single, they never spoke about, LaFace never spoke about the Goodie Mob. LaFace, matter of fact, the song Cell Therapy was banned pretty much from MTV. It was banned from VH1. All these other networks, only BET would play it, and then it would be played like semi-late at night. You really couldn't see the video for Cell Therapy. Everything they tried to do, they was fought upon and was not backed or protected by LaFace. So when they came out with the single Soul Food, another thing they were talking about, well, their content is too aggressive, and I don't know if we could have them here at the awards show. So they started doing other type of events. So they had the Red Hot organization when they came out with the CD America is Dying Slowly. It was like rap against AIDS, for the growing AIDS epidemic in African American men, which was documented in 1996. So you had Wu-Tang, AIDS kills, word up, respect this, America is dying slowly. So you had Fat Joe, Coolio. It was a ton of people on this soundtrack. And they came out with Still Standing in 1998. They having all the success. They was in the movie Mystery Men. Everything is going pretty much the way everybody is, foreseeing it. Now, money is coming in. Now, people are not happy with cuts of money and who's being featured. Where they put CeeLo as the leader of the group, and that kind of rubbed Gip the wrong way, because Gip felt like Goodie Mob was more his idea than anybody else's, and there's no one person above the group. And CeeLo's demeanor was like acting as if he was the star of the group, and certain things that he was getting or requesting, they were dealing with, as far as LaFace being more open with CeeLo than anybody else because of his voice and everything. And on the Still Standing album, he was the one to basically stand out the most. So all of this arguing and fighting going on behind the scenes on who's gonna do what, and it was just it was a mess. And with all the popularity that came out, now everybody know who Goodie Mob is. They basically on their own standing, firm. And while this is happening, the infighting is taking place. Gip is working on Cool Joe and Timo. And Timo was more with Gip on the situation. Like, yeah, man, this is not right, and blah, 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 blah. They're always trying to put CeeLo as the face. Like on one of the album covers, they took individual shots, and they took CeeLo and put CeeLo in the front. They did a whole interview where they came out to visit CeeLo. And it was the way CeeLo was talking. He didn't really talk about the Dungeon family. He didn't talk about Outkast. He mostly talked about himself. And that's why they were like, man, everybody in the group did their piece. Gip brought up the whole Goodie Mob and this and that. And CeeLo was saying, I did. They chose to edit it that way. As he was trying to inform them, like, look, this is the way they edited it. I gave them that. They asked me what songs and stuff I listened to. He talking about he listened to Portishead, Radiohead, and everything else. He giving out the different way he get his sound from. It wasn't about Goodie Mob. It was about his sound. He was like, that's what they were talking about. The interview wasn't based upon that, but I did mention Organized Noise, Outkast, Goodie Mob. They just didn't put that in the article. So they just assumed, like, yeah, he getting too big. Is he getting big-headed? So when a deal came for CeeLo to leave, because this was going on during the time of World Party. And he stuck around, and, they doing their thing. And LaFace had them signed with Arista, which was their parent label, of course. And because of the style and everything of this album, it was going in a direction where they didn't like it. And CeeLo and all of these guys really filming World Party, or filming it while recording World Party, was not happy with the direction And in the middle of the album, it wasn't even completed yet, CeeLo was basically out of the picture. He was just like, I'm done. I'm tired of people hating behind my back, you know what I'm saying, doing all kind of craziness and starting all this drama like we're a female group. And we not. We men. So Cujo was like, man, come on, man. Cujo was the main one that was trying to keep the group together more than Gipp and Timo. Timo's like, come on, Cujo, man, we can go do this, man, do our own thing. You know, so Timo and Cujo, they, you know, that's what they rode together. So he was like, man, we did our rap thing back in the day. Let's go ahead and get our thing going. So they were working on songs anyway for another direction. But what was gone from World Party was all the social tone of it. And as crunk music started to come more into play, and ATL and everywhere else, everybody was making crunk albums. They were going and navigating themselves down that road. And that One Monkey Don't Stop the Show, when they basically making a diss record towards CeeLo, and the fans were not happy with the lack of CeeLo on the album. And the monkey reference, and they claimed it had nothing to do with CeeLo, but the fans took it that way. And now you're like making them choose sides. And then CeeLo came out with his album, and there you have it. You know, he dropped his solo album and his solo project, announced that he was no longer with Goodie Mob back in like 2000, 2 years before this thing dropped. And he had success. And because of his success, they came out with, yo, we're going to do our own thing. So once this fell apart and the bad reception on One Monkey Don't Stop the Show, you know, CeeLo could have went nah, but he didn't. He just stayed the course and just said, all right, well, this is what it is. And didn't really pursue it no further. Then he went ahead and said, you know what? Since y'all think of me in this way, like I'm that bad of a person, that I would do something like this, okay, fine. You know what? Gipp was like, I'm out. You know, we ain't popping right now. I'm finna go do my thing solo. Y'all do y'all thing. Because Timo and Gipp, they started to see it was more Gipp's ego than anything that was leading to the breakup of Goodie Mob. And Gipp, CeeLo, and Timo's ambition was what ruined that whole little thing that they had. Everybody's selfish ambitions. But CeeLo was willing to make, you know, sacrifices just to keep Goodie Mob alive. He was willing to do that. Sure, he wanted to do things this way. He had ideas. He had things that he wanted to do to create, but he had a lot more on the table and was willing to turn all of that down and stick it out and do Goodie Mob. But when the people around you don't appreciate you, you're going to leave. And that's what happened. So when the Living Lives of the Lumberjack come out with Timo and Cujo, Gipp did come back and, you know, drop some songs on there. I think they had 24/7, 365. That song, and I think he did like 2 songs that they did together. Other than that, they were out. Then Cujo gets in a major car accident where we don't know if it was drunk driving or he just fell asleep behind the wheel. But he ended up losing a part of his leg. And when he lost a part of his leg, man, you know, from the car accident, it kind of hit everybody in the heart. And that was the first step in getting everybody back together as they realized what they had and what they came from. It's like, this is what's important. Life is more important than all these flashing lights, cameras, everybody here. So, well, with that being said, they did a reunion. Like, they came together in like what, '09 or something like that. I can't really remember too tough, but I think it was like at some festival where all four of them were like back cool again. And what was that? Might have been '09 or whatever, but he was Gnarls Barkley and things like that. They were on good terms. They just weren't working together. And once that accident happened, they knew, like, man, we need to get back together and do something. So, that's about it, man. I mean, they're back together. They got their own day. Like, I think August the 19th is Goodie Mob Day. So they were one of the creative minds. If you go back and listen to Sky High, Cell Therapy, or Soul Food, I mean, those are three songs right there that can't nobody, I haven't heard anybody top those songs yet as far as a group in a long time. Those are three major songs, and the content in those songs and what they're talking about is exactly what the people are afraid of today. And for them to be able to put that out, I advise everybody to go get the Soul Food and Still Standing album. So that's it. The group is back together. I mean, they're established as men. They came back full circle, and that's always great when people realize, like, hey, life is more important than this BS. And we out.